Welcome back. Thanks for coming by. Back in the 1950s, when myself and my siblings were just wee children, we'd get pretty busy. But sometimes in the winter, when the days were short and it was colder than heck outside, we'd get bored sitting in the house and sitting around looking at each other. And a lot of times, after a little while, one of us would say, "Hey, let's go look at pictures. You want to look at pictures?" And we say, "Yeah, let's do that." We did, and we looked at those pictures a lot. There was a box of old photographs that belonged to my parents, and they had taken these pictures many years before we came along. I think a lot of them were anyway. Anyway, we would go grab that and sit and look at them old snapshots and laugh about them and talk about the old people that are in them and stuff like that. And then there was just a box, and they were all loose pictures. There used to be negatives in them in that box, but they have disappeared. I have all those pictures now in my possession, and the negatives aren't there any longer, which is a shame. But anyway, we enjoyed looking at those old pictures. That's a fun thing for kids to do, and I hope future kids find some way to do that. But anyway, so in that box, besides the loose pictures, there was also an album. This album. This was my dad's. We called it his Army album. There's other pictures in here besides his Army days, but mainly we enjoyed looking at his Army pictures. We didn't know much about Dad's past at that time at all, but he had some neat pictures in there, so we thought we'd take a look at them. And so you open this up, and it's got old loose pages like this. And the pictures are all fastened in with corner braces. Corners. That's what they are. They stick to this black paper page, and then you put 4 of them in, and then fit your photo in it, and that's all that holds it in there. And so that's how this whole album is put together. That's how they used to do it in the old days, And it had a lot of pictures, and every page, there's pictures on every page. You can probably see that there. But then, over the years, a lot of those corners fell out, and a lot of these pictures are loose now. And I really want to go through and see if I can find some corners to buy that are matching what is in here. It'd be fun to put this all back together again. In the back of this is Dad's Army pictures. And we'd always hurry and get to that because we liked looking at those. Our dad was in the Army and he was in World War II, and So we turned back to that, and it was fun. Well, since I've had these pictures with me here in Alaska, and I've been looking at them quite a bit lately, and I looked at those Army pictures, and I thought, these are kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to do a video on it, if not for anybody else, at least for Dad and and my family and whoever else is interested to see this. But so I started working on them a few days ago, and I'm about done with it. In fact, I am done with the pictures. I scanned a whole ton of them, but Dad had a life that we children didn't really know about. He never talked about his Army days much. He did one time with me when I was older and married, and he'd had a stroke, and he'd go with me on I published a newspaper, and once a week I would make a trip to Ephrata, Washington, where I would have it printed each week, and Dad would ride with me, And on one of those trips, he was talking about his Army days. He had a stroke. He was fully disabled, and you could understand him once you've been around him enough. He couldn't talk clearly, but he was only 54 when that happened. Anyway, so he was talking. We were driving on the road to Ephrata, and he was sitting in the passenger side, and he started talking about his Army days. The first time I ever heard him talk about those in my life. And of course, being me and who I was and the age I was, I paid scant attention to him, and I really regret that a lot, that I didn't really listen. I got a few interesting things he said, but my mind was too much on my newspaper, and I regret that. Anyway, so Dad, he was just the right age for World War II. He enlisted in the Army. I think it was probably 1942. Yeah, and he went all through all the basic training and finally, and he took a lot of schooling in the States, and I had a lot of pictures of those. I didn't put this in this video, but he loved radio, and so he went to he went to classes on radio, and finally he got into the Signal Corps, the 6th Army Signal Corps group, and that's where he was the whole war. His group one thing he told me on that trip to Ephrata, his group was in charge of getting communications between base camps of the U.S. Army. And he told me they got awards for doing better than anybody else, basically. But yeah, so he was really into radio and communications. So he didn't see much heavy action. I heard rumors that he might have been in one battle, but I can't confirm that. But so these pictures I'm going to show you today are not pictures of heavy battles and bodies or anything like that. This is pictures of him and his buddies and how they worked and where they lived and basic everyday life of the Signal Corps people. They're interesting pictures, and I'm glad I'm going to be able to show them to you here today. He had a lot of friends, I can tell, and he never, as far as I can tell, none of his friends ever showed up after he got back to civilian life. But yeah, it looks like he had a lot of friends in the Army. So we're gonna show you these pictures, and they were taken with an old camera. As far as I can tell, it was one real similar to this box Brownie. It took large pictures, and in those days, when you dropped your film off and got it back, they were contact prints from the film. They weren't enlarged, and so it's easy to tell what size, what camera you had, or roughly what camera you used by the size of the prints. And this is one of the prints here, and it's a good size negative. I read that you got 6 pictures per roll of film when you used used a camera like this. I don't know where this one was been on our family, but it's not the one he used, because this was the production started on this later than the war, actually, or right around the end of the war. So he had another one, an earlier one, and I can't tell you what it was. But anyway, he got some pretty nice pictures for an old camera. And so I'm going to show those to you, and doing this in memory of my dad. So let's take a look at him. Well, I hope you enjoyed those. You know, they're not the best quality, but you know, for an old camera that Dad carried around with him while he was on duty, they're not bad. I enjoyed looking at them, and I have enjoyed looking at them for now 70 years or more. But it makes me think of Dad a lot. Now, of course, I did print one of those, and to be honest, I had a hard time figuring out which one to print, because there was 2 or 3. The ones of the LST, I think they're called the ships on the beach there. That's at not Luzon, Leyte. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's a neat picture, and I studied that and studied it because I thought maybe Dad didn't take that one, but dang, it's the same size picture, and if it would have been a professional taking that picture, it more than likely would have been someone using notes like a speed graphic or something like that. But this, you can tell this didn't have that quality. So I'm sure Dad took this. On the back, it says, on the back of the print, oh, I don't have that one with me here. On the back of the print, it says censored, and then some numbers, and then below that in tiny writing, this is all in tiny writing, and it says reprinted states. So but I'm sure Dad took it anyway. That's a neat picture, and I almost cleaned that one up and printed it, and then I got to looking at more, and there was a couple more I really couldn't decide. So in the end, I chose, of course, the very hardest picture to clean up. But I liked what it looked like. And folks, it took me a long time to get this picture ready to print. And there's still a couple things I'm not happy with. I may do it all over again, but I'm not gonna mess with it right now. I was like 2 or 3 hours cleaning this picture up. Anyway, here it is, right here. This is the coolest picture of this. This is one of his, can you see that? I don't know. It's shining a little bit there. That's weird. Anyway, that's G. Johnson, whoever that is. And this picture is really tough. You'll go to my SmugMug site and you'll see it better. But this had, bad. It was bad. It had been really messed up by handling and stuff. I put Dad's name and everything on the bottom of it, and the date. It was either 1944 or 1945 when that was taken. It's a cool picture with the clouds in the background, and I don't know, probably Dad saw the clouds and said, "Hey, G. Johnson, jump up on that pole right in front of those clouds. I'm going to take your picture with this old camera." And he did. Came out pretty nice. It really did. So like I said, if you look at my SmugMug Gallery, you're going to see all these pictures that I selected. There was well over 100, at least 100 pictures of Dad's Army days. But I just selected a few here. There's 20, I think, that you're going to look at. And besides this print picture, I didn't really work on them. I adjusted the contrast and exposure and things like that, but I didn't do any touch-up or spotting or anything on them. I will if I decide to print them, and I left it. You can see the corners still hanging on. I scanned them instead of taking them out of this. Instead of taking them out of this book, I just laid the pages flat in the scanner and scanned them right from that when I did it. I did scan these several years ago. So, and also when you go to SmugMug, there's good descriptions for a lot of those pictures. When you click on the information icon, the little eye in SmugMug, you'll see captions. So, and it tells you whatever is written on the back of the picture. And also, some of them have my own thoughts and who I think it is and things like that. So that's my video for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, I did it. I'm doing it for my family. And maybe the family of some of Dad's friends will see it someday and see their dads and their grandpa, So you guys take care. I'll be back with another video here sometime. I'm not sure when right now, but I'll be back. And until then, you guys take care. Keep taking pictures. And if you find a bunch of old pictures laying around, grab them. Take a look at them. They're pretty neat to look at, folks. You guys take care. I'll see you next time. Bye now.